Legendary designer Yves Saint Laurent, who literally rewrote the rules of fashion, recently passed away at the age of 71 after a lengthy illness. Here's a look back at the life and career of one of the most influential figures the fashion world has ever known.
He created the modern wardrobe for women all over the world, and I think he was so influential to so many designers.
Saint Laurent's really the all-time, for me, the all-time giant of fashion.
After emerging as a fashion prodigy at the age of 17, Algerian-born designer Yves Saint Laurent left for Paris, where within a very short period of time, he was discovered and hired on the spot by legendary designer Christian Dior. When Dior died suddenly in 1957, 21-year-old Saint Laurent was thrust into the spotlight as head designer of the house, where he began to redefine fashion one look at a time.
When I think of style, I think of Yves Saint Laurent. His unique vision of women changed completely the world, the way we dress, the way we think, the way we look.
He set the language by which, women dress today.
Only 3 years into his career as head of Dior, Saint Laurent was drafted into the French army, where not long after, he suffered a nervous breakdown and was discharged from service. It was 1962, and having lost his job at Dior, the timing seemed right for Saint Laurent to open up his own couture house, alongside business partner and one-time lover, Pierre Berger.
I did a lot for the house, but don't forget, Yves Saint Laurent is a genius. And even without me, we're still a genius.
Saint Laurent created a bold new dress code. In 1966, he introduced le smoking, the celebrated tuxedo for women. He also established pantsuits as a staple in women's wardrobes, making androgyny fashionable during the feminist revolution.
I think those suits especially, there was just nothing like them in the 70s. They were very powerful, but they were not making a woman look masculine. She looked even more feminine in those Yves Saint Laurent suits. I own a couple of them and I will never let them go.
Yves was really the first person to put a woman in a pantsuit on a runway. He was also the first person to put a transparent blouse on the runway, liberated women in a way, or came along at a time when women were being liberated, and threw that back out onto the runway.
On top of his many fashion innovations, Saint Laurent also helped to establish the ready-to-wear industry as a whole, influencing and inspiring the world's most successful designers.
Yves Saint Laurent is one of the stars of fashion. If there are 5, he's certainly one of them.
A lot of things that all we are doing it's because of Yves Saint Laurent. He opened some closed door and for us.
Yves dominated fashion. He is very much responsible for the contemporary look of women today, and certainly responsible for my aesthetic, because he was what I was exposed to, what anyone in the 60s and 70s was exposed to.
Though common for today's designers to jet set around the globe for inspiration, Saint Laurent was one of the first to incorporate exoticism into his designs. He was also largely influenced by the art world's greats, including Picasso, Mondrian, and Matisse. By pure coincidence, our crew happened to bump into Saint Laurent at a museum exhibit in Paris in 1993, where our cameras captured him staring intently at the work of Matisse. We asked him about his relationship with art.
C'est une source, pour moi, d'inspiration extraordinaire.
Depuis toujours?
Depuis toujours, oui. Depuis l'âge de 5 ans.
Oui.
Saint Laurent's success as a designer only grew stronger over the years, but he was a very private man whose life was plagued by bouts of depression, alcoholism, and drug abuse.
I think his partner described him as born with a nervous breakdown, is the description Mr. Berger once said. it's the nature of genius, I think, to be tormented. That's what keeps pushing you, keeps moving you on, keeps saying, oh my God, it was good, but it wasn't great. That's what makes a genius, is somebody that is never, ever satisfied.
1999 brought about the end of Saint Laurent's reign over ready-to-wear when Gucci bought out the label, eventually placing famed designer Tom Ford at the helm. While Saint Laurent continued to design couture for the house, it was at his fall 2001 show where he first hinted that he would be stepping down.
Work very, very hard for me now. I begin to be old.
No, no, no.
And I must to sing to retirement.
But you make it look so easy, so effortless.
Yes, but it's very hard to do that.
An ailing and increasingly reclusive Saint Laurent struggled with the industry's preference for commercialism over artistry. And in 2002, the designer announced his retirement at an emotional press conference.
Je veux vous remercier, vous tous qui êtes ici, et ceux qui n'y sont pas, je ne vous oublierai pas.
When Saint Laurent announced to the world that he would have one final runway show before retiring, it set off a chain of events that made this show one of the most important fashion occasions in decades. With only 2,000 seats available at the Pompidou Center, it had not only the fashion world in a mad scramble for tickets, but also what seemed like most of Paris. As you can see, the streets are absolutely lined with people, I guess everybody waiting to see just who the luminaries are who have been invited to this monumental evening. The designer's 200th and final show was a spectacle of grand proportions. The thousands of people who couldn't get in watched the event on 2 giant video screens erected outside the venue. The 90-minute presentation featured 100 models parading 4 decades of clothes, all created by the legendary designer.
The show was incredible. Beautiful, very, very beautiful.
The spectacle came to a close with Saint Laurent's muse Catherine Deneuve singing farewell to her friend, followed by a tearful, lengthy standing ovation.
For me, he was the most talented, truly, truly great. He was also a wonderful person, and I'm very sad that he's no longer with us.
On June 1st, 2008, Yves Saint Laurent passed away at his Paris home after a long battle with brain cancer. Some of the biggest names in fashion and politics attended his funeral to pay tribute. Saint Laurent's legacy will never be forgotten. In fact, just days before Saint Laurent's death, we caught up with Berger at the Montreal Museum of Fine Arts retrospective of the designer's work, one of many that will continue to influence the fashion world for decades to come. We asked Saint Laurent's longtime companion and business partner about the designer's state of mind since leaving the fashion world.
He is not very happy. You know, it is like a love affair. When you decide to leave someone, okay, you have to do it, and you do it. But after that, maybe sometime you are very unhappy. And between fashion and Saint Laurent, it's exactly a love affair.
Go to iTunes to download the full episode.